Hey guys, Sarfnic here. So, I'm not a Ninjago YouTuber, but I've been watching Ninjago since 2011, and I've been watching a lot recently, so I think I'm gonna do a review of all the seasons. Well, sort of. I'm just mostly going to be numbering them from 1 through 15. Yes, there's only 13 seasons at the time I'm recording this, but remember, there's also the pilot episodes, which I just counted as season 0, and there's also Day of the Departed. So, let's get into it, boys. At the way bottom for the number 15 spot, I have the Halloween special Day of the Departed, which dropped in the second half of 2016. Now, this was meant to be a season, but then LEGO kind of had an issue with the Lego Ninjago movie, which ended up dropping in the later half of 2017. So they had to quickly come up with a season, so they kind of made a straw Halloween special where all the villains came back. Yeah, by the way, I'm doing spoilers here. And it just sucked, dude. I mean, it seemed like a good concept, but too rushed. I liked it being focused on Cole, though that was kind of cool. Next up for number 14, we have my least favorite season of them all. Season 7, Hands of Time. This was such a shit season, dude. I watched it, and it just didn't feel good for me. And the main reason why is because I don't think time travel really fits Ninjago, because Ninjago is really based around nostalgia and lore, and when time travel's added, and the two villains are basically these time twin dudes who wanted to take over the world.
Gee, Brian, what do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
Yeah, not really that interesting. And the ending with Wu getting sent back in time, that was just undone the next few seasons. Like, it took 2 seasons, but still. My God, just horrible season, man. Don't ever show me shit like this again. Thankfully, I don't think Ninjago's any time travel plans again. And if they're going to do it like they did in Season 2, where it was somewhat good. Like, no. Season 7 was a mess. For number 13, we have Season 6, Skybound. It was not the worst season. I enjoyed the second half of it a lot, but the beginning was no. Honestly, I didn't really feel that interested in the ninja being famous, because you know the next season they're just going to be normal again, and they've always got haters. So yeah, we get it. They're famous. They're heroes. They've saved Ninjago, the world, quite a few times. But just the villains, they kind of needed more depth to them, more lore, and the pirate crew. I felt like, honestly, they should have focused on them more. Nada Kong was alright, though. But despite that, I don't want him returning. I don't know why Ninjago fans are so big on Nada Kong coming back. But there are 2 villains that haven't come back yet that I want to return, which we might discuss later. Now, next up, we have Season 10, March of the Oni, in number 12th place. Now, this season was good. I loved the villains, and I loved Garmadon and Lloyd here. Garmadon was the best character in this. And I guess it's technically the 3rd installment of the Oni trilogy, so I guess it's all about Garmadon anyways. But one thing I didn't like was a lot of the side stories, like Jay and Nia becoming yin and yang or whatever, kind of like getting married basically, but different. And then Cole's death was just bad. And it was kind of short. The villains deserved more runtime, to be fair. They wanted to be short, kind of like the original Pod episode, paid tribute to it. But yeah, it should have been longer. But overall, it was good. There's good factors and bad factors. That's why it's number 12. But there are some other ones that are up this list, like higher than this, that actually have worse aspects than this. That leads us into our number 11 spot, Season 2, Legacy of the Green Ninja. Now, this was one of the endgame seasons for sure, with the Overlord and shit. Basically, the season began off by the ninja having to stop Garmadon with his mega weapon, and then they went to the Dark Island after that because Garmadon was working with the Overlord until the Overlord betrayed Garmadon, and Lloyd had to become a golden ninja to fight him. It wasn't too good, I'd say. That's why it's this low. I mean, this is not really that low. But still, I honestly feel like the first episodes of the season were just filler, and it could have been better. And to be fair, they kind of made it like it was an endgame season. Like, they weren't going to continue the show originally after this, but, you know, the show was too good. They had to resume it. So, yeah, that's why it's this low. At number 10 is Season 12, Prime Empire. I recently rewatched this because all the Ninjago seasons were finally added to Netflix. This season was super interesting with its mystery. I kind of liked the Ninjago City aspect to it. Very similar to Season 3 because both of them had digital threats trying to become flesh, I guess. The mystery of who Unagami and Milton Dyer were was really good. Also, the new characters like Okino in Racer 7 and Scott, yeah, they were kind of alright. felt a bit rushed, like at some points, but other than that, it had such good build-up. I loved how they had the two perspectives, like they had Zane on the outside while the rest of the ninja were vibing in the game. It was good, and definitely one of the better seasons on this list. For the number 9 spot, we have Season 1, Rise of the Snakes. Probably one of the most popular seasons they ever made just because it was Season 1. This one was pretty good. Now, I'll admit there was some bad parts. I mean, every season has bad parts, but overall, it's good. Introducing this whole new group of villains was pretty difficult task when you start off with what we had in Season 0. And I love the Serpentine. I love the 5 tribes, the Anacondri being like only one Anacondri left, Pythor. I love the Great Devourer storyline, the Fang Blades, Garmadon coming out to help them. It was a masterpiece. I'll have to admit that. And honestly thinking now, it should be a bit higher, but whatever. And next up, we have the season that came before, Season 0, a.k.a. the pilot episodes. Yeah, it's just called pilots. There's no special name, okay? It's the one with Samukai and Kai and... Wait, Samukai and Kai. But this video isn't scripted, so I'm just saying things on random here. But this season was pretty awesome, introducing the ninja, Kai's conflict. Jay was funny with his immediate crushing on Nia. That maybe was a bit too far ahead of its time. And finding all the golden weapons, I thought this built up to a really good season, and most of my friends who don't watch Ninjago now agree that this was very good. Now, at the number 7 spot, probably my most controversial pick, you probably noticed that it hasn't appeared yet. Yep, Season 11, Secrets of the Forbidden Spinjitzu. One of the most hated seasons. Most people even put it below Season 7, but nah, I thought this season was pretty rad. Looking at the first half, the fire chapter, yeah, it was kind of cool to see the ninja out of training, just vibing in a hot tub all day and moving to train them. And then Asphira being a villain that introduced a lot more about Wu's past, or I guess Garmadon's past too, and just the past of Ninjago as a whole. We rarely get a look at old Ninjago, like really old Ninjago. This was ancient Ninjago, not old Ninjago. Old Ninjago would just be like, I guess like 50 years back. Ancient Ninjago was like 1,000 years back, bruh. And it was super good. And then when we move on to the Ice chapter, I love these new realm stories, kind of what happened with Season 9 as well. I thought it was really cool, that twist with the Ice Emperor being Zane. Yeah, huge ass spoilers given here. Also explains why the Echo Zane thing was canceled in Season 8. I guess Vex was an alright secondary villain. This served as another double storyline season. I guess the first one was Season 9. Both of them involve the ninjas going in different realms and facing off against 2 different villains who are not even connected. And the Never Realm just introduced so much new lore, including the lore of the Formlings. Like, yeah, there were a few filler episodes in the Fire chapter that were shit, but stop pretending that Season 2 didn't have that. Stop trying to give this season shit. It was good. Ninjago community, you need to fix your judgment, okay? Like, the only really bad thing about this season was Kai in the Fire chapter. But other than that, we're good. And in the number 6 spot, we have Season 3 Rebooted. By far the most underrated season, in my opinion. It was a return season, one of the few times that a villain has returned in Ninjago, being the main villain for 2 different seasons. The Overlord, he was the villain in Season 2 as well. And he came back. It was a good season with them going to space, getting the golden weapons, all these storylines. Pythor being a twist hidden villain this one. It was a good Season 3. You know, considering the fact that Season 2 was meant to be the original ending in Ninjago, and they literally had to reboot it, because they literally produced no seasons in 2013 whatsoever, unless you count Chima. Oh yeah, I love Chima. Controversial opinion as well. I really like Chima, which is a lot of Ninjago fans hate because it sucked a little more than Ninjago. Zane's sacrifice was pretty aight. Pixel was introduced, along with Cyrus Borg, who are very important characters, so give this season more credit, Ninjago community. And stop overrating seasons like Season 8, which we haven't got to yet, but we're about to get into. What a unexpected transition here. Our number 5 spot is Season 8, Sons of Garmadon. It is one of the seasons that gets the number 1 spot for most lists, but I think this season was alright, and I think it's the most overrated season on this list. Wow, we just go from the most underrated to the most overrated. Yeah, the season was good. I didn't like the style change. It was very based around Ninjago City. It was right after the Ninjago movie came out in late 2017. But I kind of see why it's really well liked. It introduced the Ninjago community's favorite villain of all time, Harumi. Yes, a villain with a great backstory that wants to resummon Garmadon, who had sacrificed himself in Season 4 and died in Season 5. But we'll get into that later. Yep, I think it was pretty good with all this new it just felt like a refreshing season. That's what most people say, and it did feel like a refreshing season. And Lloyd matured quite a bit. Yeah, they got him a new voice actor finally. That was overdue for a few seasons, to be honest. And I just loved how each character kind of had this little thing going on, like the intro and like the mystery of what happened to Master Wu, left over from the last season, season 7. It was good, I'll admit that, and it left a good cliffhanger too, going into the next season, which isn't the next one on the list, but still sadly a bit overrated because many other seasons have done a better job at refreshing. At the number 4 spot, wow, we're almost done actually. We have season 13, Master of the Mountain, and the latest season to air when I'm recording this. And I actually just rewatched the season, so I can tell you a lot about it. Wow, this was a good one. Kind of like a refresher. Nah, season 4 is one of the best refreshers in my opinion, but this one was still pretty refreshing after Prime Empire. This one beats Prime Empire by a long way. It was a cool theme season, which we hadn't got ever. I mean, if you want to count Day of the Party, but that was not a season. That was a special. There's obviously Wu's depression that was noticed, and that was just representative of the fact that Wu's really old and his ninja are kind of like pros at saving the world, so he felt kind of useless. But in this season, he got to prove himself of worth again, so he was another focus character along with Cole. And they had some fun times with Princess Vanya, who is also a really good person. I'm just saying, really good. Kind of redeemed the princess name after Harumi, put shit all over it. And there was another twist villain with the villain, the Skull Sorcerer, turning out to be King Vangelis, the father of Princess Vanya, but Princess Vanya didn't join him. Similar to Season 4 in that case, but still very interesting. I love the Geckos and the Months War, the history of Lily or Gilly or Millie, whatever you want to call her. And the side stories like Kai becoming the Gecko Chancellor or Nia becoming the Months Queen was also very appreciated. Oh, I almost forgot about the Upply too. Very good characters. They were fun as hell. I love them. And also Lloyd's very tiny, very like not noticeable PTSD. That was good. That was really good. I think Warcries actually liked that a lot. Yeah, I made Warcries watch this season. Anyhow, that's it for my commentary. Very good season. Very well done. Now we're on to the top 3. For number 3, we have Season 5, Possession. Now, this is another one that tends to be at the top of the list. It's a good one. Introduces probably the second most favorite villain in all of Ninjago history by most Ninjago fans, being Moro. Now, I remember when I watched this season in summer of 2015, it was so fucking good. It just introduced a new kind of style for Ninjago where the villain is like got a plot that they're trying to go straight after and the ninja are tailing behind them. And the ninja didn't have their powers for this season because Lloyd was possessed for most of it, given the name Possession and all that. It was so good. And the storyline with Moro was very similar to what Season 11 did with a villain that had a big problem with Wu and Wu's past, whatever. And it introduced Nia as the water ninja, not to mention. And the whole, like, hunt, like, I obviously mentioned it earlier, how they had to go chase after Moro and kind of, like, get these artifacts before he did. Like, Cole becoming a ghost and all that shit. Going to the first Spinjitzu Master's tomb, getting the Realm Crystal. The Realm Crystal was very interesting. And I remember the ending of this. In fact, the ending of this reminds me, I had the same feeling I did when I saw the ending of Season 13. It just felt like, wow, what's next, man? I loved it. Very good season. Probably one of the most perfect seasons in Ninjago. Now, for the number 2 spot, we have a season that usually gets pretty high, but not as high as this. Season 9, Hunted. Wow. You took what you did in, well, Ninjago took what they did in Season 8 with Sons of Garmadon and brought it to a whole nother level. Introducing a new villain, Iron Baron. This is another double storyline, by the way. Meanwhile, Lloyd and Nia are in Ninjago City with the Elemental Masters trying to stop Garmadon and Harumi, while in the first realm, the original 4 ninja and Wu are stopping this dude named Iron Baron from getting the dragon armor or whatever. And it introduced so much cool Oni lore. Mistake was good. My God, Garmadon was magnificent. This was a pretty endgame season, and I loved it. Very perfect Ninjago season. My God, it was what made 2018 so hyped, dude. I love this season. I freaking love this season. And it built up to a good March of the Only. And all the lore about the first Spinjitzu Master. God, this is good. I feel like the problem is I'm kind of rating this along with Season 8. But they go together. All right. At the number 1 spot. This is the number 1 spot for a lot of OG Ninjago fans, while most new Ninjago fans put Season 8 at the spot. Season 4, Tournament of Elements. This is one of the greatest seasons I've ever watched. I remember watching it in early 2015. Me and my friends at school would be talking about this season all the time. It was so good. So damn good. It took where we left off after season 3 and kaboomed us to the whole mystery of what happened to Zane and this island that Chen was living on. This tournament of elements, introducing new elemental masters, Chen and his servant Klaus, this Garmadon lore, the Serpentine lore, the Anachondri wars being finally solved a bit more for us. Pythor getting involved in the second half with all these Ninjago characters, the Serpentine working together to stop Chen. It had one of the best final battle scenes, probably the best final battle scenes I've ever had in Ninjago, with all of Ninjago working together, even in old villain Pythor, dude. They even solved this shrinking problem, dude. Garmadon's lore, even Wu's lore, no, Wu had like no part in the first half of this season. And all these cool characters like Karloff, that dude who can read minds, you know, the invisible dude. It's so good, man. I loved this season, and I don't think we're going to get one like it ever again in Ninjago history. Sorry, Ninjago. Kai and Skylar, that is definitely a ship I support. There's some ships I don't support, like Lloyd and Harumi I do not support at all. Lloyd and Akita are pretty alright, though. But, yeah, I loved Skylar. She was great. And this made my 6th grade year, by the way, this season. This season was perfect. I think I said that enough now. Anyhow, I guess that's it for our number 1 choice, and we're done with the list, guys. All right, before we end this, I worked on this video for multiple days, and in between that, Season 14 actually got its name announced, along with some sets announced. We already knew it was a jungle season, but it's apparently going to be called The Island. Interesting. All right, I'm going to leave that there. I might do another one of these videos, maybe after like 2 or 3 seasons. Maybe I'll do one a year from now, after season 14 and 15 air, or even after whatever comes after that. All right, thanks for watching, guys. See ya.